Yo, what up? Day three of me speaking in my bedroom to no one in particular. Uh, Today was kind of a hard day. I just been avoiding, I think, making big decisions in my life. It's kind of the story of my life. And I wrote quite a bit today for my story I'm working on. That was hard. It's always hard to start stories, start writing, but once I get in the process, it gets a lot easier. It's also hard to listen to myself in the process and just wanting to make it perfect. And it really amazes me. Every once in a while, blue moon, I'll be able to write for like 4 or 5 hours in one sitting. Usually the norm's a couple hours. That authors that can do it much longer and be much more prolific. It's just a hard time writing with yourself. Sometimes just being with yourself. Um, It's a lot of pain there for me. A lot of sadness behind the eyes. Type, you can't cry, but you feel it there. Sometimes, and it's just hard on days when I look myself in the mirror and I see I'm a bald, 30-year-old man. I got wrinkles on my forehead. I'm aging. I haven't really found love. Found parts of it. I think I find parts of it when I write. I think I find it sometimes when I read, when I watch movies and manga, when I listen to interesting people and things. When I express it. You know, I look at myself in the mirror and I'll see a little bit of flab. Um, Used to, be a runner in college and nothing crazy, but my abs aren't as sharp as they used to be. And, you know, my abs weren't really ever good enough. Never really felt like my body's good enough. I remember from a very young age, a kid named Dustin would just, make fun of the mole I had on my cheek, kids doing kid shit and just ugly. I was the kid who got picked on in my small class. He left in the first or second grade, but he came back in the third grade. And everyone was crowded around him. He had like frosted tips. It's like so cool. And he was just like, is Ryan still gay? And I, you know, I've had a really hard time with my sexuality throughout my life. Um, I think that was the impetus for a lot of it. You know, I've never really understood my own sexuality. I mean, people talk about straight and gay, and they even say spectrum, but they're like, I'm 80% gay, 20% straight. Even that doesn't make sense to me. Even the idea of a spectrum doesn't make sense to me. How can you say if you're gay or straight? Like, for example, like dudes when they talk about Like they'll never put something in their ass, right? A lot of dudes will do that. Or some dudes really love it. But a lot of dudes are afraid to because they might like it, right? That's they'll say, no, I'm not in this shit. That shit's gay as fuck. But they're afraid they might like it. You know, I understand if you have that boundary in place because you don't want to confront that part of yourself, even if subconsciously you don't realize that. But the vitriol behind it sometimes is what gets me. Um, or it's, it's kind of funny. I've made this correlation and I've been said this is a bit wild, but how guys are always so proud of their shits. Like, not guys aren't that proud of their shits. I think that's a bit stereotypical, but I think there is a bit of, our shit, hitting the G spot, and pleasure, and then you take a picture of it like you're proud of it. Um, I'm saying this with such seriousness. It's weird, and I remember because I'm always not sure. I had a dream once. I was in Texas when I was a kid. I think not maybe when I moved to middle school in Michigan, and I didn't have a lot of friends, and I just remember a cowboy and just saying I was gay and like wrapping me a rope lasso like a western, and so I remember asking, there's two times in my life I've talked to lesbian adult women who are married, and they both had the same conclusion. One even had kids. One of my, what do you call second aunt or aunt that's not your aunt? Once removed, I don't know, second cousin, second aunt, something like that. And we were getting a really good conversation about stuff, families, and she had a kid. And then they said something to me that finally made, like, just sexuality makes sense to me. And they were like, yeah, I could be with a man, but it wasn't as good as being with a woman. That's how I feel like sexuality, it's preferences. I think we all could enjoy having sex with men, guys, but we prefer to have sex with women more. Um, I don't know if that's a crazy take. Um, but when say I'd never do that, gay people, say I'd never fuck a straight person, I wouldn't enjoy it. I think both sides would. I just think we don't want to confront that. I mean, I don't confront, you know, I saw once a question someone asked someone on YouTube or somewhere in the internet. I think I was reading it, and this guy said he had such a sensitivity in his replies. And he was like, "Hey, how do I know if I was gay?" And he's like, and his response was, try jerking off to gay porn. And so I was like, oh, yeah, duh. Um, and I tried to jerk off to gay porn, and I succeeded a couple of times. I didn't succeed every time though. With women, I succeeded every time. Um, I don't know if maybe I'm just not attracted to men. I am attracted to a good-looking man. But I'm attracted to good-looking women too. I'm usually attracted to people, surprise, surprise, who are bi or lesbian or gay, um, because they have they are so in touch with that side of themselves, experiencing that rejection, questioning life. Um, a alien's perspective, there's so many different ways to feel like an alien as a teen, an immigrant. It's kind of, I watched a movie, Didi, about a Taiwanese kid, coming of age story and dealing with the father not around in Taiwan, and trying to fit in while also resenting his Asian parents and his or Asian mom, and his Asian mom reconciling that she never got to fully achieve her dreams and she had children, and part of her was regretted, her children's having her children. Part of her loved her children so much. I think that finally clicked to me, something about my mom and parents. As children, we feel that regret, that angst that they don't ever quite say, but it comes out in words. How they talk about you, how they compare you, how you compare their dreams. I often think critics in movies, especially harsh ones, you'll see them on Goodreads or my anime list, and I wonder if they're just writers, dreamers who gave up on themselves, and instead of chasing that, they just lambaste others because they resent them for good stories. You see those particular critics, and feel a bit sad for them. I feel sad today. I told myself I wasn't going to look at my word count. I ended up looking at my word count. I got 800 words. I was kind of satisfied with that, but because I looked at the word count, I wasn't. I put a subjective value to my experience instead of just letting it be an experience. And I kind of ruined it for myself today. I would have enjoyed it a lot more if I just let it be. I like ruining things for myself. I do it in video games sometimes when I don't want to play them, but I want to escape myself. I'll just make plays I normally wouldn't, that I know better. I just get angry at myself. That anger is terrible. Hurts. It's hard to be human. I just wish I had more people to talk to. I have a brother upstairs, live in the same house. He goes to corporate. He says it's fine. Then he plays video games. He says it's fine. He plays video games. Didi said that a lot in the movie when he was going through stuff. I'm fine, Mom. I'm fine, sister. Leave me alone. I don't think we want to be left alone. But we have to ask that for that. We have to, that's really hard. And I think sometimes in the pursuit of my artistic dreams, which I don't know if I'll ever achieve, I don't think I ever will. At least I sent something to publishers. I hope they'll like it. I put my heart into it. I didn't write it like other people did. I wrote it for myself. I write for the people like me. I think there's a lot of us out there. We just don't ever say anything. And then we die. That's terrible. Sensitivity. Thought. It's a, it's a stereotypical boon bane cliche therapy speak, but it's true. I think I wish more people would talk like this. Maybe that's why I'm making these videos. Aren't really videos. I wonder if I'm not talking fast enough, if I should say it another way, or if anyone again will ever look at it, or how to present myself. And trying to remember my goal is not to present myself. It's to be honest. Like when I tried to read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, like 20, 25 pages. It was interesting, but I know the general message of it. Once I know the general message, it becomes harder for me to read something. I think I know it. I think I have everything all figured out in my head. This rationalization, this arrogance, this protection against just being curious about something. I mean, and part of it's like and dislike, and I have a pretty good idea with just things in general. If I'll think they're ass or they're good, I don't follow, like, for example, I'm watching a TV show, the 2 or 3 episode rule, or even if the 1 episode rule. You can see the vision of the story. You can see the type of the person, the director behind it, their outline. And I can't see a director behind it. I can just only see the cliches, the tropes. That's unfortunate. Maybe that's why Didi and Lady Bird were so good, is because they're honest. They're a person. They weren't trying to tell me how to live. They were just being conflicted. They were just being human. Maybe that's one of the most thought-provoking things about art, is stories without messages, at least to me. And yet, I have this issue where when I write, I want my stories to have super deep, meaningful messages. And they don't. And I do that. And then I get so lost, I try to wring 20 concepts in one. Kind of like my first episode where I just went all over the place. Kind of just how my thoughts go. And when you're telling a story and you have the goal of sharing it with people, you can't do that. You got to translate that onto a piece of paper. Lost in translation. I'm just sad. I'm sad I speak less. I think a little less in terms of, yeah. Maybe I'm not supposed to think a lot. Hell, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Isn't that the whole point of sexuality? To get rid of these labels? Let the experience be the experience. Don't let, be true in these stories, this movie. That's what Didi was. It was true. It was honest. And, everything is labeled these days. Drugs. Even the whole psychology field is. Disney movies tell us what love is. How to be a princess on your white horse or your knight with your sword. How to be as people. No one teaches us really as young people, and I didn't have this where you experience things. I think this is if I was a parent. I realize the importance of being true. Because I think if I regretted parts of my life, my child's going to feel that. What a responsibility. One of my friends just had a kid for the first time. Or he's the first in my friend group too. It's weird. We're getting older, but feels right. You know, do what feels right or be different. It's cruel to be different, really. Cruel to yourself. I think so many people are cruel to themselves. Cruel world. Friends, it's kind of funny as we get older, we stop being friends. Our circles become smaller and smaller and smaller. We trust less and less. We give our heart out to less and less. It's a world I don't understand sometimes. At least the kid refuses it. here I am doing the same thing. I watched the Cloverfield movie too before Didi. It's not bad. Yeah, that's all I have to say about it. It's a 7 out of 10 movie. I think it's cool. I think they doing horror cam footage with a kaiju or a Godzilla. I think it's more than cool. I think it's really innovative. But it's just combining simple things from a couple genres. You're just combining things. That's all imagination is. Just combine one thing with another, with another, with another. You sprinkle a bit of that pixie dust of what if. It's beautiful to imagine. But you're also divorced from reality at the same time. That's where that art is so weird to me. I think most artists have some form of must know this keenly, whereas they write about their lives. It's the same idea of as taking a photograph instead of experiencing it. I don't know why I can't be happy with whatever I choose. I place expectations on any of it. This is not going to make sense, but every part of my head says I should be a psychologist, but I don't want to be it. I think I want to be a teacher. I want to teach people writing college, but what I love more than anything is reading manga. No one teaches that. I don't write manga. I write, you know, reading is my least favorite genre. Books, every medium. I really enjoy. I love a good story in any medium. Manga, Danwa, whenever. Doesn't matter where it comes from. Same with music. I remember I was in Vietnam at a mall. I was just listening to a song. I was like, this is a cool ass song. And I didn't have Shazam, but I was like, I gotta see if I can Shazam this. Fuck yeah, I did. I think that's another weird barrier. People talk about anime, but the anime barrier has been broken down quite a bit. Wasn't always like that, obviously. Manga, something so cool about picture and the spoken word together. I remember going to my great aunt and uncle's cabin on a lake in northern Minnesota growing up. Their son died in the current of a river when he was a teen. I don't think they ever got over that. I don't really know if you can. But they have all his old comments up there, and I remember as a kid just going through them, just reading them all. I never really interacted with comics before. You know, yeah, Spider-Man, X-Men. There's a lot of, it's funny. They have they have the Secret Wars comics. It's like, oh, I read those as, they're going to be coming out with the Marvel movie. I read those as a kid. Um, there's this really weird one. It's about the metal. Oh God, the metal guy's X-Men. The big metal guy. His sister. I can't remember her name. Not great with names, but she got taken. It was a really dark comic, looking back on it. But a girl got taken, um, to like some sort of hell. The metal guy's sister. She was Russian. It was like Ilya, or I don't know, but about her becoming part devil, being stuck in there and being tortured and seeing the X-Men die and then coming a woman out of it. Um, Definitely thought she was super hot. um, Also, is that weird? If you thought something super hot in childhood, that part of that attractiveness is there etched in your memory. Um, just still think that's hot? Or I remember a friend judging someone for wanting his girlfriend to dress up as Hermione Granger in the bedroom, and he's like, she's a child. I didn't think that was a big deal. It's not like you're actively looking to fuck children. It's some parts grow with you, some parts stay with you. I don't know, it's you want to bring that part of you alive, you know? Just want to play, you know? Pedophilia, I think how people view that often gets misconstrued too. That's, I don't know if we'll touch that subject. People are so divisive about it for good reason. We obviously want to protect children, innocence. That robbing of someone's power is such a sin. But I think there's a lot to learn there too. I think like the author writing Lolita, I've never read it. I've read like 10, 15 pages of it. Interesting. Interesting start. I can guess where it goes. Something happens. Someone gets stuck in that childhood, that dream. They don't really develop out of it, or a lot of people who do these acts had something happen to them. And, it's just like alcoholism in someone's family or drug addiction. You say you're never going to be like that, and you keep telling yourself that, and you define yourself by that. And it puts so much pressure on you till you're going to break. You got to oscillate to the other side. Like someone saying, I'm not going to drink alcohol. I'm not going to touch it again. Not one drop. But then you have a drop and then you can't stop. It's like people, and then you say something like this about having empathy or sympathy or understanding this, and it's like they're condoning it. And it's like, I want to say to them, you're not facing yourself. You're not comfortable with these ideas for whatever reason. I'm not going to say what, aspersions on them, alleged what them, or, or armchair them, but they're not comfortable. And so they'd rather just get off to some rage, some anger to place for things in their lives they don't quite understand, but they can put somewhere. Makes sense. It's why, I said once, I don't think there's evil in the world. I don't think there's insanity. I said I don't think evil exists, and someone said I was so naive. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, as like a 60-year-old adult, but I think they're the naive one. And I can't explain all that to them, because they'll think I'm just saying a bunch of bullshit. I'm thinking too deeply about something. I'm analyzing it too much. What does too much even mean? For better or worse, I like to think like this. Gives me some sort of peace. I don't know what it is. It doesn't always. I stress myself the fuck out sometimes. I'm looking for people like me. I wonder if my brother's that person. He'll talk with me sometimes, and then he'll just shut me down. He'll say, you're overthinking it, you're doing this, and I don't agree at all. But that's the line he's drawing. I wish people would draw less lines, but ironically, I think I'm drawing a line for them, defining them. I think they sense that too, what I wish for them. And that's not fair to them. I can get stubborn about stuff like that. I'll argue, I'll get really hard-headed, I'll talk about these things, I think somewhat open-mindedly, and people listen to me, but I'll get so stubborn, so angry, so convinced. I have to check myself. I have to remind myself that I'm human, and I really struggle with that. I think I want people to give me criticism if they think it's worth it, to tell me things I disagree with, but I have to be receptive to that in the first place, where people aren't going to go to me, which is going to be a lot harder. And I've struggled with this, but I've tried to do that for other people, criticize other people sometimes. And I did that with a friend in small ways. mom with another big way. Ugh. Just in the sense of I'm just letting them know how I see them, my perspective. And yet it just magnifies, it blows up, right? As in, that's all they are. I think I want to be a better son to my mom. It's really hard. I don't think she was a very good mother growing up. I don't really feel like I ever felt safe. My dad, I did sometimes, but he was busy at work. My dad didn't really share that much of himself. He's always been a quiet man. My dad said that his dad went quiet towards the end of his life. I only ever remembered him being quiet. He didn't want to be like that. And yet, I'll talk to him. I see that I see that my dad tries really hard to understand. I appreciate that about him. I think he's had a very difficult life. I think some things I won't go into that happened to him. And I don't even think he knows that I know. So that's so funny. History is just a wheel. We have our world histories, our country's histories, our personal histories, history of the universe. We say nothing's linear or astrophysicists or whatever, dimensions, holes, just feels like circles. Our life is circles. That's why I don't agree with the idea of growth. People grow. I think it's layers to me. And maybe this is just me nitpicking, but we just live circles and we peel back layers on the circle, or we add stories or circles, layers to the circles. And circles go. They are infinite. We are infinite. Life is infinite despite death and darkness. Even when I die, I'll be continuing the fight for something else. I fear that day, and it'll come to pass without me knowing. And it's funny, it's all our life is really defined by death. Every one of our actions, anxiety, if you think about it, anxiety does come from death. That is what it is. Death anxiety is our everyday anxiety. It's defined by time. We need to get this done. We need to get that done. Because we're so keenly aware. We need to fit everything in, experience everything. We need to perfect. We need to do this. We need to do that. And the phrase that we leave out that we don't want to admit is before we die. I want to brush my teeth before, it sounds extreme, but even the little things. I need to brush my teeth before I die. I need to do that. I need to check off the list. And that's how I view a lot of, let's just say, psychological disorders is the light in the keyhole syndrome, which to me is you put too much pressure on yourself, not much light shines through the keyhole. If you believe in the idea of soul, not much, you constrict yourself and you don't have much of a personality, right? You're so tight, worked up, because nothing's shining through. Your soul's not shining through. And then you don't have the keyhole widens. The soul is just too bright. You're so overwhelmed because you have no boundaries, no sense of self. And I think that is disorder, as you, in quotation marks. That is our problem. And all problems arise from that. Light in the keyhole. Those cancer videos and everyone gets millions and millions of views. Why? Why does someone dying so soon get so many views? Why does someone who died suddenly get remembered and memorialized and not talked about as a person they were? I think it's so weird how we talk about death. But yeah, Kobe Bryant. Everyone immortalizes how he acted, Mamba mentality, guys especially. And I just think, and I look at him and I'm like, he was kind of a selfish player. Always shot, had a high volume of shooting, didn't shoot especially well from the field. And yet, because he was so individualistic, because he said fuck other people a lot of the time, because he made it about himself, people glorify that. But in the death, only the good parts remain. What are we so afraid of? Why can't we look at our life? Are we just immortalizing people because that's how we want to be remembered? We want to hide the regrets so hard, so bad. Yeah. I think my brother's walking around the house, so I'll end this one for now.